Freehold Borough is a town with old school charm, plenty of great things to do, and awesome restaurants. But as like any town is, you're going to have some pros and cons to living there. So on today's video, we're going to cover everything that you need to know and take a full map tour of what it's really like to live in Freehold Borough. We'll cover everything from the commute to New York City or Philadelphia, the school systems, and everything else. But before we get started, if it is your first time to the channel, my name is Steve McCutcheon, and I'm a realtor at Berkshire Hathaway. And on the Live in Central New Jersey channel, we cover everything related to the Central Jersey real estate market. So if you're going to be the first one to know what's going on in either Monmouth or Ocean County real estate, feel free to click the bell, hit the subscribe button. Let's get this video started.
All right, guys. So here is a outline of what Freehold Borough is going to be looking like. Now, it is something called a donut town, which means it is completely surrounded by Freehold Township. So if I zoom out a little bit for you here, you're gonna notice you have East Freehold up to the right here, West Freehold down to the left. It sneaks around the northern border a little bit, and also to the south. So it is completely surrounded by Freehold Township. Freehold Borough is going to be roughly about 2 square miles and ranks 32nd out of 53 in terms of size for municipalities in Monmouth County. Population is about 12,500 residents and is seventh in density, meaning it is the seventh densest town. So amount of people is going to be higher per square mile than is going to be less. So a town like Millstone, for instance, which is going to be a lot more spaced out, would be the exact opposite and be like one of the last place towns in terms of density. But it's a pretty solid place to live, relatively walkable. We'll kind of get to that throughout the video, but that's just a basic outline of what Freehold Township or Freehold Borough is going to look like. In terms of where it's at located in Monmouth County, this is going to be obviously Freehold Borough's little circle, but then Freehold Township's probably going to be somewhere like that. And then from the shore, you're looking at about probably like 15, 20 minutes, depending on exactly where you're going. But yeah, that's a little bit about Freehold Borough right there. For major roadways, when we zoom back out, not a whole lot going on inside of Freehold Borough. It's going to be clipped a little bit by Route 9 here, so I guess technically going through it. Route 537 is going to go east to west. So you have West Main Street on this side, East Main Street over here. Route 79. Yes, I guess it does have a decent amount. I don't know what I was saying. So 79 and Route 9 both go north to south, and none of these roads are going to be toll roads, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. Route 537, while it is like a more of a county road, it will have a decent amount of lights on. Same with Route 9, and traffic can get backed up just a tiny bit there too. If you want to try to get to a different roadway, not too far away, Route 18 also runs north to south. One of the, I don't want to say bad parts about Freehold, but you're just kind of stuck right in between, right in the middle, is if you need to get to the Garden State Parkway, that's going to be all the way over here on the right side. Hold on a second, let me zoom out a little bit more. So it's going to be all the way on the right side here, and New Jersey Turnpike is going to be all the way on the left side. Now, you can't get north to south, right? Route 9 runs right through the middle of it, no biggie. But obviously, like I just mentioned, there's going to be a decent amount of stoplights on there, whereas the Garden State Parkway and New Jersey Turnpike, they're going to be they're going to be toll roads, but they're also going to be two of the major highways that we have here. So if you need to get, north or south very easily, being accessible to one of those is kind of crucial. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing where Freehold's located, but if you want to get to New York City, you're kind of limited to just Route 9 right there. Now, let's get into actually some of the commuting options for you. First off, driving yourself, like we just mentioned. We're going to drop this to 7 a.m., so normal rush hour time frame. That's 7:30. There we go. So it has it down for an hour and 20 minutes up to 2 hours and 20 minutes. So obviously a pretty big discrepancy right there. I would say on average, you're probably looking at about an hour and 45-ish to be pretty realistic. Again, Route 9 can be a little bit difficult to deal with. So if you are driving on that, you will get a little bit of traffic. So between like here, once you get onto the parkway, you're gonna be good up until, again, that Newark Airport area. So from Newark Airport into the city, that's pretty much where you're gonna hit the bulk of your traffic. Unfortunately, really no way around this one because you have to go through there, but it's going to, the majority of the ride will probably be pretty smooth, and then that last 10-mile radius probably going to be your hardest. But yeah, hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, probably your best bet. In terms of commuting wise, if you are on like the eastern border of Freehold Borough, I'll zoom back out real fast for you, or zoom back in. It might be better off taking Route 18 until you get to Route 9, just to avoid a few extra lights that way. But otherwise, realistically, just taking Route 9 all the way up is probably going to be your best bet until you get into the New Jersey Turnpike or Garden State Parkway. Now, bus wise, if you want to take some public transportation, really good option over here. So Route 9 is going to have a couple different park and rides, so up and down. But the biggest one for Freehold Borough is probably just going to be right at the Freehold Raceway Mall. So I would just hop right over to there. Maybe you take like a 5-10 minute drive, depending on again if you're on the eastern side of the borough. Sorry about that. I was up late with my child, and he's going through teething, so it's been very fun. Waking up at 2, 3, and 4 a.m. every night. Um, so yes, the parking ride for the bus stop will be at the Freehold Raceway Mall. Again, 5-10 minute drive over there. In my opinion, probably the best for public transportation. Now, there isn't going to be a public use train or NJ Transit train that comes through Freehold. If you want an option for that, just because you rather take the train versus the bus, you see how Route 79 is highlighted here. You could take that all the way up to Mattawan, Aberdeen, and it's going to be a train station here. That'll run you about like an hour and 10-ish minutes probably to get into the city from there. The other option, if you want to go even farther north, so if you take Route 9 all the way up, you then take the South Amboy train station. It's going to be right here in the downtown borough area. I'm down, they're just their downtown area, not necessarily the borough. And that's going to take you about like an hour or so. In my opinion, if you're going to drive the half an hour up to South Amboy or the 20 minutes into Mattawan, and then just to take the train, I think the bus would just be a better option because it's going to be more express. I think they might have one other stop after that, maybe in the Cerebral section, and then afterwards you just go right into the city. So, in my opinion, public transportation, take the bus from Freehold. That's probably going to be your best bet. Now, if you want to get into Philadelphia, you're not going to have any public transportation to get you out that way, but it's still a pretty um, decent place to go commute to and work at. They have it down for an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and 50. They're highlighting here to then take, sorry about that. They're highlighting that's best off to just go south to until you get to Route 195 and going out west down to New Jersey Turnpike, 295, etc. You could also probably take Route 33. I don't know why it's not letting me draw here. There we go. To then 195, or sorry, 295 and going all the way south that way. So I guess it kind of depends exactly where you want to hop on at, but I guess going south to 195 already would probably cut a few more minutes out. Oh, apparently I am much more tired than I thought I was. Um, Sorry about that, guys. But those are pretty much your main options commuting. So the city or New York City, drive yourself, take the bus, going to be your best two options. Train is potential, but I probably wouldn't recommend doing so. Philadelphia, you're just going to be driving yourself and going out west. But that's pretty much all I got for the commuting. Getting into the school districts. So Freehold Borough School District itself is only going to be for pre-K and K through eighth, whereas once you get to the high school, it's going to be part of the Freehold Regional High School District. So there are some differences to them. So Freehold Borough School District is going to be rated a C plus, house about 1,600 students, and have a 14-to-1 student to teacher ratio. There are a few schools in the district, 2 elementary and 1 middle. So there's really not too many differences in grades there. The fact that these are in the C range for niche.com, they're not going to be that high for Monmouth County rankings. But once you move on to the high school, it is going to be rated an A minus and the 11th best public high school in Monmouth County. So it does change up a little bit. The funding is different too, so maybe that has something to play with it. But Freehold Borough High School will house about 1,400 students and do grades 9 through 12 for a 14-to-1 student teacher ratio. And that's going to just be the one high school in there. Now, if you want, actually, I'll kind of go back to the elementary school. There is a private school right in the downtown borough, St. Rose of Lima. Are they going to be on here? I don't know what the rating is. Okay, so they have a rating A minus, so that can be for grades K through eighth. So if you want, your child can attend possibly St. Rose of Lima School and then send them to the Freehold Borough High School if you want an upgraded elementary school experience or grade school experience. I did have some friends go there growing up. Said it was pretty good. And to my knowledge, I don't think the price is. They don't have it on here, but I don't think it's that bad. I know I don't want to say that bad. It's obviously gonna be a couple $1,000s, but I know some private schools can run a lot more. So I think it's, I don't want to say budget friendly necessarily, but in comparison to other private schools, I think, to my knowledge, they're actually pretty affordable. Moving on to the high school again, just kind of go back to that. Being in the Freehold Regional High School District, that your child can actually attend any of the 6 schools in the district. Well, they have something called the Magnet Program, meaning each school is going to specialize in 2 different studies. So, Freehold Borough has a culinary program. Manalapan's going to have LEPS, which is police and EMS. What do we got? Marlborough is going to have the business school, and then Colts next ROTC, and it just the list goes on and on. So when your child is in eighth grade, it's a very competitive program. When your child is in eighth grade, they can apply to this, and if accepted, they have to go through interviews, some tests, and then they can attend whichever high school in the district or the program they want to get to. It's a good way to test out maybe if they're really interested in a specific study to then further their career in that path. So again, very competitive, looks great on college applications, and you would get bused to that school. If your child was to ever drop out for some reason, they would be reverted back to their current high school. They wouldn't get to stay at the other one. And I think it's relatively pretty much the rules for that. Again, I'm sure it's a little bit more, it's going to be more nuanced than when I'm explaining it, but that's kind of just a brief rundown of how the system's going to work over there. Heading into the real estate options. Number of listings, Freehold Borough is not going to be like Freehold Township or maybe Howell and have 100 listings at a time or anything like that. I don't even know if Freehold Township even has that many right now, but it's going to be on the lower on side on listings. Right now, though, we are sitting at 12-month highs, right around at 25 homes listed. With that, obviously, in our spring and summer time, we're going to have more listings than not because it's our peak months. Most people are moving during those time frames, so we're going to see more on the market. Absorption rate, this is going to let you know exactly what kind of market you're in. So sitting right around a 3. Anything under 6 will be considered a seller's market. Anything over will be considered a buyer's market. The closer to 0 you get, the heavier the seller's market. The farther away from 6 you get, the heavier the buyer's market. So sitting at a 3, it's still relatively a pretty competitive seller's market, meaning they're going to have the power in negotiations. And then last, getting into the days, or not last, but a couple different things. Days on market, other than this one massive peak, no idea what's going on there, if that's just a glitch in our system. We're relatively pretty stable in like that 20 to 40 day range. Right now, days on market sitting at 19.8, so 20 days. That's going to be lower during this time frame as well because more people are moving, homes are getting gobbled up faster. So that kind of makes sense, right? Doesn't it? And then getting into the prices, median sales price was $500,000. It's up 5% from this time last year. You can kind of see it right here. In terms of where that is for Monmouth County, I just did a video on it. I think the Monmouth County market update will probably come out first, but if it doesn't, Monmouth County's median sales price is $700,000. So Freehold Borough is considered much more affordable than the rest of the county, and probably a pretty good spot for a first-time home buyers market. So if you're someone that's looking, the borough could possibly be a really excellent spot to be heading into. Again, if you're someone that wants a young family, maybe the school systems kind of throw you off, or you're fine with the private school option. That will have to be discussed about with obviously you, your partner, and your kids. But that is a potential option for you. So if you're just trying to look to getting right away, build up some equity, and then move into maybe your forever home afterwards, the borough could also be a great destination for something along those lines too. Median days on market. This is year to date, not just where we're currently sitting. They have it down at 14. And in terms of sales, this is actually one of the heavier jumps. Granted, it is only 10 homes, but to see that it's up 20%. Last year in 2024, we had the lowest existing home sales in 30 years for all of the US, basically. So the fact that we're seeing a 20% increase here in the Freehold Borough, that's a good sign moving forward. There's a potential of some possible rate drops coming in the fall. That might spur the market a little bit too, so who knows? But that's a really nice statistic to see. Obviously, it's only 10 homes. It's a smaller sample size, so I don't want to look into it too much. But I know Monmouth County as a whole right now is in that 4 to 5% increase range. So Freehold Borough is definitely helping out the statistic by far. But that's it. It's kind of a little bit of rundown on their market overall, and then going into breaking it down to what they kind of got going on in terms of differences. So adult communities looks like it's just one for sale. I don't even know. Yeah, I was about to say I don't remember any adult communities in Freehold Borough. This is actually should have been Freehold Township. This is mislabeled by whatever agent that is. They didn't do a good enough job there. So to my knowledge, 0 for adult communities. Condos and townhomes, a couple different communities for you. Kingsley Square is going to be in this section here. I always forget the name of these two to the right. No, it's Locken, but I don't know what the Briarwood West. To my knowledge, I think they actually let rentals in right away. So it's a pretty heavy investor market. And then Patriots Point. Price point wise, oh, sorry about that. The lowest one was going to be in the Kingsley Square that listed for 318 or sold for 318, my apologies. Listed for 339, so they were a little bit higher up. And the most expensive one was in Patriots Point at 13 Duncan. That was good for 445, but that was also listed at 400, went pretty heavily over asking. That was even a year ago. So to kind of give you an idea, you're looking in between say 315 and 450 between three different developments that you can get in for in the Freehold Borough section, right? So relatively pretty affordable, especially for that first time buyer. And all these are going to be between about 2 to 3 beds. Now, a couple of the units in Broward West, I don't know if it's going to show here, 2 beds, 1.5 baths, but most of them, at least from that I've shown in the past, they typically have like a den section. See, yeah, see that curtain is? It's like a little den, office, study kind of hanging out is that balcony you saw in that front picture. If this was an upstairs unit, that's pretty much where that's going to be. So a lot of people do typically use that as a third bedroom. Obviously not going to be a legal third bedroom, but you could get away with using it for a third if needed, right? So that's something to look forward to, like a little bit cheaper, and then possibly, get that third room out of it. But yeah, for or for condos and townhomes, really affordable. And if you're looking for that first time buyer, not a bad spot to be. Heading on into the single families, this is going to be the bulk of the sales for Freehold Borough. You can see it's kind of sporadic beyond the whole township. A lot of them will be some older homes, so you might find some older problems with them, or maybe homes that have been updated, recently or whatever. But you're not going to have a mass development here in terms of, like a Toll Brothers or a Ryan Homes coming in here and building a 100-unit complex. That hasn't really been done in Freehold Borough, maybe not ever, honestly. So that's something not to really worry about in terms of price point wise. 325 is the lowest one, but honestly, that just knowing that price point, it definitely needed probably a full gut job or quite a bit of work to it. Yeah, literally beat the hell. um, More move-in ready. You're probably gonna have to get closer to four. Let's see what we got here. This was 400. Still needs some work, right? It's dated. I mean, could you technically walk in and move here or move and use everything here? Probably, assuming it's all functionable. But I mean, they update the flooring in that one. So yeah, you're gonna have to be over 400, 425, say 450 for like a fully like move-in ready home. It's also gonna depend on the size too. Let's see, 440 here, ranch style, beautifully done on the interior right there. Um, so yeah, that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. So 425, 450 for move-in ready. And if you want the most expensive home, we have a 1.25. I think that was commercial though, was it not? Yeah, so commercially zoned. Needed a variance for residential. Completely different like market otherwise. 825 is the highest sold home over the last 12 months for the Freehold Borough, then realistically. That's again, we just talked about where Monmouth County is at in that 700 range. Not too many homes above 700,000, as you can see. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 homes only out of the 115 sold for more than the 700,000 or the median sales price for Monmouth County. So it gives you an idea of where Freehold Borough prices are going to be sitting. Awesome place to get into, again, for your first time buyer. And even if you want to sit there for a while, it's definitely not going down in price anytime soon because I can imagine a lot of people will probably be flocking here very shortly, knowing what the prices are going to be. Now, if you want to know what are your shopping and dining options, well, for dining, phenomenal for Freehold Borough. You can kind of go downtown here and just up and down this entire strip. You're going to have nonstop places you can go eat. You can go to Cafe 360, get a smoothie or gelato. That's never a bad idea. You got Sweet Lou's Cafe. One of my old teammates' parents and their family owns it. Cash only, but awesome breakfast spot. Same thing with Federici's, been around for forever. Cash only. Corchester's are great. Awesome wings. The Metropolitan Cafe is pretty good. Charcoal Steakhouse is going to be a little off the strip, but down here, it's relatively newer compared to some of the other ones in the area. El Mason, El Agave, awesome Mexican places. There's a hibachi spot in here too. Probably check out a different restaurant every single weekend and not double up for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. So just kind of get in there. And that's just inside the borough right here. Moving a little farther, you can kind of go into the township. Also, highly recommend Jersey Freeze, best ice cream in the area. I grew up in Freehold, by the way, so I also am kind of biased to possibly a lot of these. Sorrento Sub Shop. First thing my wife wanted when she gave birth last year. One of these. 618 is a good spot. Definitely a little pricier, but they do different events and the host. I don't want to say weddings or anything like that, but it's maybe different parties that you might have growing up for your kids. Sweet 16s, like that kind of thing. You got Trey Pizza House. It's gonna be somewhere right in here. And they have a nice outdoor patio area with some heat lamps and everything. So that's a nice spot to go to. I could go on and on pretty much about the entire place, but that's at least for restaurants. I'll stop there. Shopping, you're gonna have a bunch of different spots in the downtown borough area, but you can go outside of here too. Up and down Route 9, you're gonna have an unlimited amount of options in Freehold, Manalapan, and Marlboro. Go down the Howell, it really doesn't matter. A lot of them will typically double up, right? A couple different towns have a shop right in there. So you have the Freehold shop, right? It's gonna be inside this plaza, right off Route 79. So that's pretty close to the borough. Honestly, it would be walkable. I personally would not walk with all the shopping cart or just all the items I'd buy, but to each their own. Then Freehold, where is the mall? Jersey Freeze is there. So mall is gonna be somewhere right in here, and they're gonna have about 200 different stores available to you. They can go to. Um, Pretty much name it, they're gonna have it. The Apple stores over there, different outlets. A lot of the big department stores are kind of fading away actually, but they are replacing them with different things. So like Dick's Sporting Goods is heading into there, and they're building out a big new complex. Dave and Buster's just went in. They put a gym, so they're kind of going away from some of those big clothing department stores and adding in different things to really draw more attention to the rest of the mall. But yet, living in the borough, you will not be more than 10 minutes away from pretty much probably anything that you will need on a shopping or dining basis. And then the last thing to cover would just be some things to do in the area. You can kind of see we're going to have a lot of different greens, so different parks, Opetut up to the north, a little bit outside the Freehold Borough. That's probably going to be one of the go-to ones for this area. You can also go down to Michael J. Ty. Both of them will have different playgrounds. I think a splash pad, plus plenty of different sporting events from outdoor basketball courts, baseball fields, softball fields, and that kind of thing. You're gonna have the escape room downtown here. So if you have never been to an escape room, basically like you and your friends are trapped in a room. A couple, there's clues hidden throughout. They have different difficulty rankings, and the whole goal is within the hour to escape from the room. Pretty fun, different thing to do. AMC movie theater is gonna be over by the Freehold Raceway Mall. I Play America indoor theme park. So they're going to have laser tag, different rides, and amusement park, or basically rides for an amusement park, obviously much smaller sized, different carnival games or arcade games. The suite over to the right of them, they're going to have like a Top Golf suite, and you play different games on the virtual there. Realistically, a pretty solid spot to go to. You're going to have some axe throwing a little bit farther out east here to Bury the Hatchet over on 5 Points. So plenty of different things to do inside of Freehold. The shore is going to be maybe 20 minutes away. Especially if you're in the borough section, you can hop on 33 pretty quick. Maybe 25 minutes, a little bit of extra traffic. Turkey Swamp Park is going to be down to the south. You can go camping and boating. That's going to be different. They do have some like outdoor volleyball courts and stuff, but that's going to be different from the other parks that I mentioned a little bit. And then, of course, down in Jackson, if you want to go to Six Flags Great Adventure, they're going to have the water park, the amusement park, and the safari zone too. And that's probably about a half an hour away. But so many different things that you could be doing in and around Freehold Borough in general. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Would love to help you move to the area. It's one of my favorite spots growing up. Had a great childhood, and would love to help you get there. So whether you're buying or selling, feel free to reach out. All my contact information is down low in the comments and description. So whether you're 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, even a year out, doesn't matter to me. Let's just get you on the right path towards your real estate goals. If you're looking to move to a different part of the Central Jersey area, check out 2 videos popping up, and hopefully they help you out a little too. Have a great day.